Good morning to everybody here and those that are out there in Zoom this morning. If you're in Zoom, you're going to get muted, so be ready. Okay. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Jim Moore. I am part of your Sunday, November 6, 2022 service team. We'll have a few slides now with our announcements. Early Birds meet Sunday morning at 9:30 via Zoom. The link is in the weekly email and on the website. Our upcoming speakers this month, next week will be Dr. Edward Burrowbaugh. Also, he'll be on the 20th. Is that right? It's not the other lady? Okay. Jean Geringer, and then Peggy Shin on the 27th. Okay, and of course today we have Kamatara. The lunch bunch is going to start up again after a hiatus of a few years. We're going to meet on November 8th, which is Tuesday at the Cracker Barrel at 11:30. So the second Wednesday of the month is our board meeting. And to remember when the lunch bunch meets, it's the day before it's the Tuesday before the board meeting on Wednesday. We will have a Board of Trustees meetings this Wednesday, our normal time, 6:30 via Zoom. And anyone is welcome to attend that. To get if you're interested at all, just contact one of the board members and we can show you how to get there on Zoom. We have one more week on our Thursday evening video series talking about heart math. And then the Thursday night group will have a break until after the first of the year. Next week we will have cake and companionship to celebrate our 20th anniversary. So, okay. Jean Geringer, who's going to speak for us in a couple weeks, is going to also do a dowsing workshop again. She does those periodically here. And the next one is Saturday, the November 19th. From 1:30 to 4:30, and the fee is $25. So see if you can get here. It should be a fun time and a learning experience. For one reason or another, I've never been to any of them, so maybe I can make it to this one. Thanksgiving lunch is not going to happen this year at the church, but maybe we'll do it next year. Lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know that we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. Now relax, and we're going to have a little invocation. I need to practice doing this. As we gather this morning, I am so grateful to be part of this Wellspring Sunday celebration, and grateful that each of you are here as well. Some in person, some on Zoom, and some just in spirit. As we slowly breathe in and out, we realize and acknowledge that Spirit is in this place. that Spirit is the string that ties us all together. And because Spirit is all there is, we too are Spirit, living in human form. I also affirm that Kamatara's message will resonate with each of us, and that we will gain both wisdom and insight from her words today. I also affirm that we will be equally blessed by the music provided by Judy Bethman and Barry today. May the love and positive vibes that we receive here today flow out into our community, growing and expanding to bless our entire world. Again, I am so grateful to be part of this beacon of light we know as Wellspring, and so it is. Now stand if you are able for the Song of Joy.
Everywhere I look, I see God in everything. Deep inside and all around me, God in everything. I can feel it in my beating heart, God in everything. It's in every breath of life I take, God in everything. Everywhere I look, I see God in everything. Deep inside and all around me, God in everything. It's in every stranger's face I see God in everything. Brothers, sisters, family are we, God in everything. Everywhere I look, I see God in everything. Deep inside and all around me, God in everything. I can see it in my troubled times, God in everything. It's in all thoughts I have in mind, God in everything. God in everything. God in everything.
Please be seated, and we'll read together our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation: I know life and the eternal givingness of the infinite source of life. All my needs and then some are met in the divine. I count my blessings as the stars. Okay, now we're ready for some special music.
Well, I'd like to give a shout out to Danica, who was supposed to sing this morning, but she has COVID. So let's hold her in the light and hope she's on the mend. Well, so Mary called me, and this forced me to learn new music. So the first song is called God in You and God in Me, and God in everything, right? God in you, God in me is the love that sets us free. God in you, God in me is the light we all can be. In its essence of us all, the whole of humankind. It's the source of all my good, the universal mind. And God in you, God in me is the truth that who we are. God in you, God in me is more powerful by far than anything we can think or dream. It's the best that we can be. And so it is, God in you, God in me. God in you, God in me is the love that sets us free. God in you, God in me is the light we all can be. It's the essence of us all, the whole of humankind. It's the source of all my good, the universal mind. And God in you, God in me is the truth of who you are. God in you, God in me is more powerful by far than anything we can think or dream. It's the best that we can be. And so it is, God in you, God in me. And so it is, God in you, God in me.
Wow, thank you. That was very nice. My reading today comes out of one of my favorite books, 365 Science of Mind, A Year of Daily Wisdom from Ernest Holmes. And I've chosen September 17th. Inspiration, Guidance, and Wisdom Belong to Me is the title. And there's a quote from James 1:22, "Be ye doers of the word." Through divine intelligence, I become an outstanding individual. The fullness of experience is mine. I have no fear of taking the initiative. I do not limit the possibility of my future to anything that has happened in the past. I realize that I exist at the standpoint of limitless opportunity for self-expression. I am a center of consciousness in life. I am myself, an individual, a person, a reality. I am one with life, one with people, and one with events. I have no fear of expressing myself. I do not seek to imitate others or live from the resources of anything other than my own nature, because all wisdom, guidance, and power is mine now. I welcome the opportunity to live fully, freely, and joyfully. I accept the fullness of life this moment. I believe in myself. Within me is a source of knowledge, of inspiration, and of guidance. I put myself and any cares I may have in the hands of divine intelligence. I release all sense of worry or anxiety. And all of that is true for you as well. Thank you. Now we're ready for our message from Reverend Kamatara. Come on up.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm so happy to see you. I've been going through Wellspring withdrawal because I didn't see you last month, and that was very sad for me. But my schedule's calmed down, and that was one of the things I was knowing for me to just get a little more balanced. And here it is, November. How did that happen? What? Oh my goodness. 2020's been the longest 3 years of my life. No, just kidding. And here we are in the month of abundance and gratitude. And I've been thinking a lot about how do we actually experience abundance? Because I feel like there's a big difference between saying abundance and experiencing said abundance. Because, of course, society tells us to want it, but doesn't really prepare us for the lived reality of experiencing it and being in prosperity. Because, of course, we're trained by society that there is never enough and that what we do have is never good enough. And so it feels almost like a subversive act to say, I have enough, I am happy, I am satisfied. This is an abundant universe in which we live. We certainly have been trained in the art and war of survival. So I really wonder if we'd even recognize if we were thriving. Would we even know it? So today we're going to get super practical because you know me, I'm a practical girl and I love applied metaphysics. So we're going to explore our experiences but with a spiritual lens. And we're going to do what teachers love to call a range finder. When there's a whole bunch of people grading something like AP exams, sorry, old AP English teacher here, we would have a range finding party. And unfortunately, there was never wine or anything you'd expect at a party. But they'd toss out all the students' essays and they would say, we're going to do a range finder. We're going to say what gets a 10, what gets a 5, what gets a 1. So that way we could calibrate together and then grade as a group and kind of come up with about the ballpark of same grading styles. Okay, so you didn't even know all that was happening behind the scenes with your teachers, did you? All right, so rangefinder. So here's our rangefinder for today. We're going to try to think about the whole spectrum of experience of what does it look like if we're surviving, which would be a 1. What does it look like if we're striving, which would be a 5? And what does it look like if we're thriving, which would be a 10? Okay, we're going to explore that whole rangefinder today because the goal here, at least for me, because I'm always just talking to myself, is to help me know where am I and how can I live more fully into the abundance that is my natural state of being, my divine inheritance, the way this whole thing is hardwired in my favor. Okay, so let's start with surviving. When you think about the word surviving, survival, survivor, it's kind of gnarly, isn't it? It's like the Survivor TV shows, like you're going to get dumped in the forest and you have to somehow find your way back and not die. It's amazing when you think about the word like survival of the fittest, and it's kind of dog eat dog, and it's very primordial, like life and death. But taking maybe the Hollywood version, let's put that aside and like put the humor aside for a moment, because in all seriousness, I know that I think it's safe to say that almost all of us have had the experience of just sheer raw survival in our life. The chips are down, the poo's hitting the fan, it's ugly. We're just trying to, like, I don't even know how I'm going to make it through the day. I don't know how, like, I need to make it through this minute. That's very real and very raw in this human experience. So I don't want to be dismissive of what that is like. It's very intense. It's like hand to mouth, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I am at the bottom looking for food, shelter, safety, clothing. It's super intense. There's no space or time for luxury. I am just treading water. Okay. So take a moment to think what that feels like. It could be exhausting. It can be terrifying. It can be relentless. But I also don't want to say that it's all, let's just use air quotes here, bad. It also can be very victorious and accomplished, and I'm expanding and growing, and there's this perseverance one of my favorite quotes from Reader's Digest that I saw in a doctor's office when I was a little kid and reading the magazine while I'm waiting for my appointment. Never forgot it. It is only by perseverance that the snail made it to the ark. Boom! Go snails. Okay, so there's also something good. There's something good about it. So I don't want to just wholesale dismiss survival. The light and the dark, the shadow side, but also the good, beautiful gifts that come out of it too. Like there's the whole range of experience inside of survival. So let's also, beyond the feelings, let's think about some of the skills that we employ when we're in survival mode. And again, some of them are really healthy and some of them, not so much. So on the healthy side, I think of the raw grit and determination, the perseverance, the deepening of my faith and expanding of my capacity. And I've made this joke before, just like everyone's mom, my mom used to say, well, God only gives you as much as you can handle. And my retort is always, I wish God didn't think I was so competent. So there's, like some of that stick-to-itiveness, that's great. But on the flip side, I know I have some unhealthy coping skills where I can be relentless. And I can be like nose to the grindstone, soldier through. I've got that dig deep button that Brene Brown talks about. And man, there is a cost for that. To myself and to all the people around me, God bless my family who is still with me. Because I know that I can get, when I'm in battle mode, I can get controlling and efforting and in the drama and the conditions and just bulldozing people and moving at Mach 2. You better be hanging on. It's like the little puppy, is tied to the bumper and you forgot it back there and you're like pedal to the metal and the dog's trying to keep up. That would be my poor family as I'm going through ministerial school because, they didn't sign up for ministerial school, but I did, and here we are. And wow. So I can be like that. And I need to know that about myself. And I saw an interesting meme on Facebook quite a few years ago, and it always stuck with me because it was really an important message for me. It said something to the effect of, the skills you used when you were surviving are not the skills you need when you are thriving. It is a different skill set, but I think at times I'm on autopilot. It's like my default setting because that's how the world has raised me. There's always another battle. There's always another fight. There's always, and I'm like the soldier that's on the battlefield and the head down and the sword is thrashing and there's no one left to fight. And you see that moment in the movie where they pull their head up and they're like, oh. Yay, or whatever it is. But yeah, like could I release that go-to defense? And could I recognize when I'm in battle mode, especially when it's not necessary? And think about the stories we tell when we're in survival mode. We are storytelling creatures. And we have some humdingers when we are surviving that we tell. Some really defeating and false beliefs, like, oh, I can't do this and it never ends, and I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, or I'm trapped and everyone's out to get me, and all the poor me, Kingdom One victim stories that we tell, of course. Or my favorite, it comes in threes. Wow, look what you just welcomed. Guess what's coming to you? Because the universe always says, yes, my beloved, I will make that true for you. Wow. So yeah, I tell some pretty crazy stories, but I also have some empowering stories when I'm in survival mode, like I will survive, I can handle this, keep going. Here's not the easiest story to tell, but it's a good one. It's okay to ask for help. Woo, yeah. Or I am enough already. All that I need comes to me. Life is in divine right order, regardless of seeming appearance. I've been banking on that one a lot lately. I'm just saying. Woo, it's a good one. So There are wonderful things about surviving. So my key takeaway, my big gift from survival is perseverance. And you know what? Congratulations, because you have a 100% survival rate to this moment right now. Good job. All right, let's shift into thinking about striving now. The word striving. That has an entirely different feeling, doesn't it? Connotation-wise, vibe-wise, like surviving versus striving. Oh, that's kind of interesting. We just shifted from kingdom 1 to kingdom 2. So if you ever want to look into the four kingdoms of consciousness, you'd look up Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith and his book, Life Visioning. And it's just an interesting framework of how we might be seeing the world. So that kingdom 1 survival energy is very much, oh, life is happening to me and I'm a victim and I can't handle this and I'm drinking from the fire hose. And we realize, oh, wait. I do have some control over my life. I mean, I can't control other people, but I can control how I perceive what's going on or how I react to it or what I am doing. Oh, then I'm holding the fire hose. All right, I can handle this. And life is happening by me. And I stop walking on this endless looping treadmill. Now in striving, oh, I'm making some forward progress. All right, I'm getting somewhere. There's some traction. And when I'm striving, I can pull my head up and I can look around. Just like when you're learning to drive a car or a bike. Remember, did you ever have to have that lesson? Like, oh, don't look too close because then the bike starts going crazy. You have to look a little further out to get where you're going. Oh, that is a really different posture. So in striving, I can reach and I can effort and I can create and expand and I make progress and I can see it from here. So I'm growing in leaps and bounds. It's kind of an exciting place to be. So it's a different kind of yearning because there are glimmers of success and there's progress and there's a line of sight. So it's a much more hopeful place to be in. But I still know that there is kind of a shadow side to striving because you could be endlessly striving, right? Oh, it's always around the corner and over the hill and, right? That whole life is what happens while we're making other plans. Thank you, John Lennon. As opposed to, have I arrived? I love it when my GPS says that. You have arrived. Thank you, Siri. Oh my gosh, I have arrived. But sometimes striving is an endless looping and it's real heavy lifting because it's never good enough. I never get there. And it's exhausting to keep holding the fire hose and to be efforting and to be striving. So I wonder if we could maybe lighten up a little. Like there are some really good things about striving, but could it be more like, okay, I'm kicking butt and taking names. I'm knocking stuff off my to-do list. I am taking good steps towards what I want. That's a little healthier striving. So in the skill arena, yes, I still have got the grit and the perseverance, but can I connect that to vision and making goals and progress? The unhealthy striving of go, 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 do, and I will make it happen. You can stay out of my way, God. I got this. Ooh, that can get really messy and really exhausting and limiting because then it's only what I could do, which, well, as a human, not as an infinite being. And the stories that I tell when I'm striving, some of those are great. Like, oh, I'm almost there. Just a bit more. Oh, look what I've done so far. This is amazing. I can make this happen. But then the unhealthy story is like, stay out of my way. I got this. Yeah. So again, I need to balance my feelings, my skills, my stories when I'm in striving mode. But the gift for me in striving is that I have now added vision to my perseverance, which is like rocket fuel for my dreams and desires and what I would like to be experiencing, which shifts us into thriving. Yay! Think about that word, thriving. That's a very delicious word. We like that. And think about when we use it like, oh, this garden is thriving, which in New Mexico is a big deal. Um, or, oh, my children are thriving, or this business is thriving. Wow, it's rich, it's doing well, it's almost growing of its own accord. There's no efforting or controlling. And this is where we're in that kingdom 3, where, we're in a state of surrender almost. There's no fire hose. Put down the hose. In kingdom 3, we're just flowing down the river. And that's not to say it's like a lazy river and I'm kicking back on my inner tube. It could be whitewater rafting at times. Absolutely. I mean, that water could be any which way it is. But I'm fine. I am fine. No matter what the water is like, I'm flowing and growing in this experience of life. So when I'm thriving, then I'm open to the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the self-actualization, deep sense of meaning and belonging, beloved community, like all the things, right? So now I'm an instrument of the divine. And I'm in alignment, or you'll notice the symbiotic relationships or the synchronicities, the attractions, the harmonies, and that's where flourishing happens because everybody wins when you're in that state of being. And then I walk in power, not force, if you've ever read Hawkins. And man, I was a master blaster of force. Like, woo, I'm going to make this. No. When I shift into, I'm an instrument of the divine, there's an inherent power that makes the way clear, even where it seems to be no way. That's a whole different way of being. And so it feels like peace of mind, not based on conditions, but a deep, inherent peace that just is. And there's a different kind of strength and power, and then the growth is happening of its own accord. And there's a joy that happens that's deeper than happiness. It's deeper than that, because happiness might be tied to conditions. There's a joy of a deep recognition of what is going on. It's deeper and it's really rich. And so the skills that we use when we're thriving are really interesting. We're connecting with surrender and really being in the now and allowing for the reciprocity or synchronicities to come forth as it wishes to emerge, which always turns out better than anything I could facilitate, manipulate, or engineer. Wow. And then if I can be aware, am I in alignment in this moment? And then I just have some fine tuning to do, as opposed to like, whoa, this is completely out of whack, or I need to go to the repair shop. No. Just a little fine tuning. Ooh, that's much nicer. I like that. And then I can be in contemplation. So that way, when I am collaborating with you all, with spirit, with whatever is happening, it just works so much better. And then what stories do we tell about thriving? Not a lot. What's the story to tell? There is no story. We just are. Like, it just is. So maybe if I had to put a story to it, it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? Because no matter what happens, it's very interesting. It's like radical curiosity. And then also maybe there's a story of compassion that I wouldn't have had otherwise, because I can see a little more deeply what's going on, either for others or myself. And not that I'm not going to be rescuing anyone or doing anything crazy. I'm just going, wow, that is really interesting. This is a fascinating moment. So yeah, not a lot of stories in this space. It just is the experience of being. And the key gift of thriving is, of course, abundance. That we are having the lived experience of abundance. So the big question is, and you may have to contemplate this all week long, what would your life have to look like for you to say, yes, I am thriving? It's a really interesting thing for you to contemplate. What would your life have to look like to say, I am thriving? You might already be right now. Maybe. Interesting food for thought. So let's take this to principle. Got to touch home base here, right? So in Science of Mind, that was founded by Ernest Holmes, amazing metaphysician, philosopher, amazing fella. He wrote some we believes when people said, hey, Ernest Holmes, nail it down. What do we believe? And he's like, fine. So he tried to write some of them, and they're kind of meaty, not the easiest things to read, but they're really beautiful. And the one that I picked out for today is an easy one. I don't even have to translate for the Holmes impaired. So here we go. It says, we believe in the eternal goodness, capital G, the eternal loving kindness, capital letters, and the eternal givingness of life, capital L, to all. Woo, so let me read that one more time. We believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. Wow, I want to live like that, right? That's exciting. And so Ernest Holmes wrote in his big old textbook, The Science of Mind, I cannot be deprived of my supply. The trees do not lack for leaves, nor the flowers fail to bloom. We must be convinced that abundance is the natural state of the universe. To experience and accept abundance in our life, we must be convinced that as we conceive and believe, the universe handles the details. You've got this, and God's got you. It's all there. I can just get out of the way. I usually, when I pray, something that might make people chuckle is I tend to say, and God is on the job. Or the cards are stacked in my favor. It's a winner every time. Absolutely. That's the abundance of the universe. So how do we thrive? We thrive by connecting with our true currency. Our true currency is the expression of the divine in all things when allowed to flow. We're in the current of the divine. The infinite abundance of the universe is our currency. Thriving is our natural state, our divine inheritance. So as infinite beings, we too are expanding expressions in the currency of the divine. We're living into full abundance. Every time that we recognize that continuous expansion in our lives in this here and now, and that surely all is well and I am enough. So your challenge this week is to just recognize on that rangefinder, because you could be bebopping all over that thing on any given day at any given moment, absolutely. And that's the beautiful juxtaposition in which we live of being human and divine at the same time. So this week, where am I? In whatever moment. Am I surviving? Am I striving? Am I thriving? Where am I? And then, am I able to live into that infinite giving of the universe? That is the lived experience of abundance, where we truly are thriving. All right, let's take it to prayer. Whew. In this moment, in this place, with these beautiful people and this wonderful teaching, faith, philosophy, and way of being, I know that this is the place where the divine shows up, that each one of us is love in action. And that we are expressions of the infinite in the here and now. And so each one of us has access to the infinite warehouse of possibilities and abundance. That each person already has all the feelings, the skills, the stories, the tools, everything that each one of us needs to thrive. All the parts and pieces are already here. It's just about conceiving and believing. And so know that each person here recognizes where they're at this week. surviving, striving, thriving, that each person has the power to consciously choose, to consciously evolve, to have a new experience. Because spirit is not bound by precedence. Each person is growing and expanding into a fuller experience of abundance in their life right now, whatever that may look like. And so I claim for each person a deep recognition of what thriving looks like, feels like, is in their particular life experience. And I give thanks for being able to touch home base here, to go back to principle, to remember the truth of our being, and to know the truth for each other, and to support each other on the journey. I give thanks for this beautiful spiritual community known as Wellspring, that there is such abundance at Wellspring, not only in the people and in all the resources and all the teachings, but also in sharing the journey. Such richness that we give to each other in that eternal givingness of life to all. And so I'm thankful for how we experience each other and this life and all the bounty that is. So knowing that absolutely all is well and very well, I let it go and let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Well, I survived by turning off the news and watching Hallmark Christmas movies. God of all the mystical cast, that give this gift of life. God of no end or beginning, Spirit within us divine, Spirit within us divine.
Thank you very much. As we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know that they are multiplied throughout our community. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service, and we are grateful for their service. And we thank you today for joining us out in Zoom land and here in the sanctuary. And lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to visit or join us in the social hall for goodies. Please stand as you are able and read with me the benediction, followed by our congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is.